Hello everybody. This video about the Night House is coming to you from the back seat of my van. Why is it coming from the back seat of my van? Well, I'll tell you. This weekend there were 3 new movie releases that I was interested in. Reminiscence, The Night House, and Protege. The Protege. None of those are playing in my local theater. Now, Reminiscence is available on HBO Max, so I was able to watch that this morning. But for the other 2, I had to drive an hour to a bigger theater. To be clear, my theater has 8 screens. I realize that's not huge, but it's not 2 or 4 screens. 8 screens, and still none of the 3 new releases this weekend are playing there. Anyway, so I had to drive an hour. So because I don't want to drive any more than I have to, I'm seeing both of the other 2 movies in the same day, but the showings are about an hour and a half apart, which means I have time between showings and I'm not going back home. And I figure it would be better for me to get my thoughts out about the Night House before I go in to see the Protege. So we're doing this video from my van. So, the Night House. When I did my lead up videos this week, I thought that the others was, what I deemed appropriate for the Night House, and that the Prestige was what I deemed appropriate for Reminiscence. But the Prestige, has the Hugh Jackman connection with Reminiscence, but it's also got Rebecca Hall, who I did not realize was the star of The Night House. So the Prestige leads into that nicely. I don't think this is a spoiler. I think it's pretty clear from the trailers, but both The Prestige and The Night House feature a spouse committing suicide. And Rebecca Hall is one half of that relationship in both of those movies. Both of them involve illusions of sorts and trickery and misdirection. So the Prestige was actually a pretty good lead-in for the Night House also. I enjoyed the Night House much more than I enjoyed Reminiscence. If you have seen that video, you will know I did not care for that movie. That movie, while I thought it was slow and boring, and it withheld information for reasons that did not pertain to the story, the Night House was also slow, but to me, it was engaging, it was intriguing, and the information that was withheld from us was also withheld from the main character. So it made sense because she was our viewpoints. So if she didn't know something, we didn't know something. Whereas in Reminiscence, Hugh Jackman's character knew things that we didn't know because the movie just decided to save those things till the end. So my spoiler-free version of this video is I enjoyed Night House. It is slow, but I was engaged the whole time. I was interested. There were times where I was trying to solve the mystery. I don't usually actively try to solve the mystery, but there were a couple times where it seemed like something big was about to happen. And I was like, oh, I bet it's going to be this person. Oh, I bet it's that person. Oh, I bet this happens. And I was pretty much wrong about all of them. Maybe that means I'm stupid, but to me, that means I enjoyed the movie more. So I dug it, but I don't think everyone's going to enjoy it as much as I did. So the rest of my thoughts will include spoilers, but I'm going to take a break because somebody else is coming to their car, and I don't want to be filming while they're there. So give me a minute here. Okay, they have left. That totally wasn't awkward at all. Thank goodness for tinted windows. I don't think they saw me. So my spoiler-free version is done. I don't really have a whole lot more to say that would include spoilers. There's revelations, but there's no big twist or anything like that. But like I said, I really enjoyed this. I recognize that not everybody would. I think even myself, in a different mood, probably wouldn't enjoy it as much. They don't tell you a lot, right? This isn't a movie that explains every minute detail of how this world works, and I'm okay with that. I find a lot of movies will try to explain things, but then they'll have lots of gaps, and then that makes, when you try and fail to do something, that's a problem. But when you just say, it's just happening, deal with it, we're not going to explain it, then I'm on board, right? Because I'm like, okay, it's not about the mechanism, it's about the story. So I was on board with this. I liked it quite a bit. I don't think, it's not one that I'm going to rush out and buy as soon as it becomes available. I don't feel the need to watch it again, but if people ask me if they like it, I would say if you can handle slow pacing And if you can, I've said this about other movies, if you can enjoy the experience, because I don't think the ending is bad, but there's no big thing that happens, which I was kind of expecting. So I've said this before, but if you can enjoy the experience of a movie, regardless of whether you think the end pays off or not, I actually enjoyed this one quite a bit. Glad I drove down to see it. I had another thought I was going to say. It doesn't really rely on music to create a lot of the suspense like a lot of movies like this might. There's a lot of silence in this, which is very unsettling, and there weren't very many people in my theater. There were a couple people, even though they were several rows ahead of me, it was so quiet that I could still hear them quite a bit, that kept laughing. This is not a funny movie. There are not jokes in this movie. Maybe a couple, but like there were moments where, weird, freaky stuff was happening, and they were laughing. And I get some people find horror movies. I wouldn't call this a horror movie. Some people find thrillers entertaining because they think it's dumb or whatever, but that kind of took away from the experience a little bit, because I'm like invested, and I'm like, I've mentioned this before also. I have my glasses trick where if I'm afraid that there's going to be a jump scare coming, because I don't like particularly like jump scares with facial distortion or things like that, and I didn't know what was going to be coming in this movie, I'll bring my glasses down, because if I look over, my vision is so bad I can't make out any detail. I can see like basic faces and shapes and stuff, so I can still follow what's going on. I know if the camera moves to something else, so I can like have it at the ready. So I was like that for quite a bit in the second half of this movie, and I'm like into it and engaged. And then there's other people that are laughing either at the movie or they're talking to themselves and laughing or something. So they weren't overly disrupted. It's just that it was so quiet because nobody else was making any noise. There weren't very many people in the theater, and the movie has a lot of silence. There's not a lot of music serving the purpose of building suspense. There is music in this, but a lot of times it's just silent. So I think it bothered me a little bit more than it probably would have in a normal movie, where even when not much is happening, there would still be lots of sound, so I probably wouldn't have heard those people. So didn't ruin the experience by any means, but just be aware that it's a quiet movie. Speaking of jump scares, there weren't really any jump scares in this. There are just things that are surprising, but they're not jump scares. There will be things that will change. Sometimes one thing will stay the same and everything else around will change. Sometimes there's one thing that will change and morph and stuff. I mentioned there's not a ton of music, but the sound effects, the sound editing, the way they use the sound in this movie is really, really great, especially in a theater where, or I guess if you have a surround sound system at your house where it's directional, the information of which direction the sound is coming from or moving to is accurate. I don't have anything like that set up at my house, so I'm glad I got to experience the sound of this movie with the theater setup as it is. The sound in this is really, really, I think, does a lot of the heavy lifting of the emotions. Sound specifically, not music, just creaking and weird noises around the house. I fully expect that tonight in my house, I'm going to be doing a lot of peeking around corners and moving around with my flashlight, because my house makes weird noises all the time. It freaks me out normally, even when I don't have anything in my brain, but when I've got a movie about a house that does weird things and makes weird noises and has weird happenings going on, I might not get a lot of sleep tonight. But I enjoyed this one. That's all I'm going to say for this one. Those are my thoughts. Let me know if you have anything to say about this, but that's all that I've got. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good day.